100. I thought this would feel a lot different than it does. But it still is cool. Neat seeing the triple digits. Got me thinking about some things. I wanted to do something not special for the 100th, but maybe have some really thought-provoking introspective review of how the hell we got here and what it's been like so far. But I don't have anything planned like that. And that reminded me of some advice once that Brian Chantosh gave to me, and I've heard him give to others, which is sort of don't live, kind of stop constructing your world in these cute numbers. A lot of the events that I've done with him, you're trying to accumulate a lot of reps in a time period, and it's easy to fall into a pattern I'm going to do 5 rest, 10 rest, numbers we're just really familiar with. I'll stop when I get to 50. He's like, why not 51? Why not 53? Why not 6? Why not 9? Maybe just do as many as you can in this set and then stop. But that's for testing yourself and pushing yourself and evolving yourself. I think that's a really good mentality and strategy. And quick shout out to him and all the work he does. They every year they do big fundraiser, support veterans, Big Fish Foundation. Providing veterans with opportunity to, I think, just connect, rehabilitate, enjoy, experience, grip back onto purpose aggressively, look at the specific challenges that they've had. And it's a great foundation, Big Fish Foundation. I'll throw a link in the show notes. But they do a yearly fundraiser, Big Fish Gut Check. This year it's in June. I've been invited a couple times. I opted out. I've had a lot out of it this year. I've had a lot of mixed feelings about it because every time I do it, even if it doesn't quite fit the schedule, I always walk away and say it's fucking awesome. For a million reasons, it's awesome to enjoy the people there who are volunteers, who help out. It's awesome to enjoy the other participants, competitors, athletes, the veterans there. It just is a really, and he always likes to say, put your gloves on, don't put your hands out. It's just everybody with that mentality. It's a wonderful time. So again, I'll throw that in the show notes if you want to just get involved, check it out, see what they're up to, donate if you're so inclined. But yeah, I opted out this year, and I feel simultaneously yucky about that, but at the same time, it was the choice I made. So, because I always look at it too, and maybe this opportunity won't be here next year. And it really is a special event. I've talked about some of the moments I've had in those events on this podcast, and they are yearly defining, if not some period of life defining for me, the interactions I have with the people there, and just something really special about taking, they're long events. It's like a physical exertion, psychological event, but also a lot of fun, and you're very supported, which is beautiful. You get to support others. But when you get to that point of fatigue, good things happen to you because you don't have the energy to put all the masks on yourself. So you see a very undressed up version of you. I love looking at the pictures from it. Actually, the picture from this podcast is a picture from it. But you don't see your most. I don't want to say you don't see your prettiest self, because I think some of the moments from that week, I feel like I've seen the best of myself, worst of myself, best and worst of others. But you definitely see an undressed up version of yourself. So Big Fish Foundation. See what Tosh and those guys are up to. It's absolutely amazing. And that's where we're at for the 100th episode. I was talking to a friend today, and he was saying he listens to these regularly when I put them out, and always grateful for that, because it's also a way when you maybe don't talk to people a lot or every day, even if I'm not communicating with them in real time, knowing they listen is a way to feel like I have checked in with them, and that's a good feeling. But I was asking, I was like, I don't know what the hell I want to do something good for the 100th episode. I don't know what the hell to do. And I was hoping I would kick off my interviews at this point. Still a lot of friction there of two minds of where to go. So right now they're absolutely going nowhere. And then he said, maybe do an inception reflection on from day 1 to 100, how that has gone. And I've talked about this before, checked in on this entire thing. The first podcast was no more lists, because this, the idea of lists is, it's really just a resume for a lot of things you're not going to do. It doesn't always turn into, at least for me, the lists were not turning into, they were a repository for shit I felt like I wanted to do and wanted to maybe have the feeling that I was going to do, but was inevitably never going to do. And it felt good writing them down. But then they also became kind of like a splinter in my mind. Like I was always a little anxious that they were there. And so the goal of no more lists is like, if I'm going to prioritize like the top one or two things that I'm thinking about in my day. And I talked about that maybe there were some people with certain things in their life where this would be more or less helpful. I think not in all cases are lists bad. I've always said, like, if I'm in a meeting with somebody and they're not taking notes, it kind of it really makes me raise an eyebrow at them. I'm like, what are you doing? Because even the smartest people I know with the best memories, I always see them taking notes. And you're just taking in so much throughout the day, and you inadvertently prioritize specific things over others. And so I always am a little skeptical when I see the non-note takers. And I even don't mind, and I've seen a lot of people who sort of learning and engagement I really enjoy and appreciate. Just say, could you pause for 1 second? I just want to write that down because I don't want to forget it. I think that's a really graceful and beautiful thing to do. But obviously, because I like it. But anyway, so the goal was to stop writing lists. And because I had this podcast, 100 episodes ago on a list for a long time. James started a podcast. How are we going to do it? And throughout this journey, I've seen repetition of the thought process and advice that just got me to start it, just to do it. I recently talked about an Instagram post that basically said, just start and then make it good. I love that. I love that concept. And I don't know if this is good yet, but I definitely feel like I have refined some approaches to this, some aspects of this, and received some really nice feedback. I mean, I have freaking intro music now. So again, shout out to Athena and her composer friend. Pretty rad for the intro music. Got 2 versions of intro music. I feel like that's a step in the right direction. But no lists. What do I think about no lists so far? It's funny when these things come together, and I wonder if they come together because I was thinking about them, or they come together because they were always meant to come together and it couldn't have happened any other way. Let me get to that. I've forgotten a lot of stuff along the way. For example, I was just out in the garage cleaning. I've wanted to buy like a climbing chalk bag to put my gym chalk into and then hang it on the rig. This idea strikes me every couple weeks when I'm in the gym, annoyed that I can't get the chalk out quick enough, or the chalk box is broken. The chalk is spilling everywhere, and I say to myself, I got to get on Amazon and add this thing to my cart, little chalk bag. And because this usually happens in the middle of a workout, I forget. Because I'm kind of not putting things on lists so often anymore, I forget. Grocery lists were one of the exception. I think you should make grocery lists, especially if you got other mouths to feed in the house. There's been other things like that. Had one at work recently. Again, I also think work is one of those places where you should continue to make lists, and I definitely do take notes there. But if you fall out of the habit of it or doing the list creating in the useful way, things can fall through the cracks. Also, on the flip side of that, I've prioritized and gotten through a lot of big projects that I've wanted to do for a long time that have been just put off for months and months, if not years. That's been epic. I think it's also really helped me reshape my attitude. And I think there was a time in history where one of my favorite versions of me was this person, where I would just, if I got something in my head, I would just go do it. When I used to hang out with a buddy of mine growing up, we kind of had this mentality, this one step at a time mentality, and we would just kind of go do the next best thing. And the next best thing was what we both agreed upon doing and felt excited about at the time. We wouldn't worry about the thing after that. And I can just remember some of the best adventures, best summers, best summer days, best time spent together with that attitude. Even more so than we tried to plan every step out to the T. that one step at a time approach was awesome. So I think in that aspect, the no list is really good. And overall, I'm going to keep doing it because it keeps me in action. And I've really liked that part of it. So, and I feel like I've brought some of that back into my life, like that just youthful excitement for, I'm going to focus on this one thing really hard, and then whatever comes next, comes next. I think the downside of this, what sort of happened is sometimes it's made me recently a little bit more tunnel visioned on tasks, because it's like, hey, I'm not going to make a list. I don't have anything else on my mind. So I'm just focused on this one singular thing, whether it's a house project, doing outdoor stuff, training the dogs, whatever it is, working on a specific thing. And that's allowed some other things to go by the wayside. So, I don't think I need to strike a balance there yet. Don't really want to, but it's just a consequence that I've noticed. So there's that piece as well. And the reason I thought all this was so interesting that it popped up today, so I was on a walk with some friends, as we normally do on our Tuesdays and Thursdays. I call it, that's actually another podcast topic, the billionaire life. What things about oh shit, I don't know if I should get into this right now. Yeah, spoiler, little sneak peek. But anyway, walk with some friends, and as we usually do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and my coach, Brent Nee from the gym, was talking about some mindset training and she's been doing, and one of the things she said was, I heard, was like, the tools that we use the most are at the forefront of our minds. They are not the things stored away in our mental filing cabinet. And this felt so interesting and so on the nose for what I wanted to talk about with this 100th podcast, kind of looking back on the no lists thing, because the no list approach has really pushed me to be like, the things at the forefront of my mind are the things that are at the forefront of my mind are the things I'm doing the most. Really, they're the only things I'm doing at all. And a lot of other things kind of go by the wayside. Now, like I said, I think this is beautiful because you do really prioritize the stuff like that your mind is on at the time, because you can't keep everything else in there. So it's made me much better at finishing a task start to finish. It's made me much worse. Not much worse, I shouldn't say that. It's made it way more challenging to multitask on things. And I think to some extent there's a little bit of multitasking needed in life when you have maybe other obligations. You've signed up to other obligations with other people. But the other reason I like this, I thought this was really beautiful summary and analogy, because it's a nice reminder that you might have some really great tools that are working really well, but it's also kind of a little bit of a warning. Hey, the tools that you're always relying on, even if you use them all the time, even if you see success with them, you might be forgetting about the good stuff, some of the other good tools that you got put away in the filing cabinet, kicked back there in long-term storage. And so I don't know what the practice is yet to maybe uncover some of these other tools. And, thinking about how Brent Nee was phrasing it, I was sort of thinking about, I wonder if maybe some of this is grab an accountability buddy and have them give you an overview of where you're at. What have you been doing? How are things been going for you? Get that outside perspective, because sometimes it's hard for you to tell. And like I said, I think this is important even if things are going well, because I do think at some point things going well, you hit a plateau, you want to do better. It just might come from one of those tools you haven't checked in on a while because you just haven't been using it a lot. And so what I took this as, in respect to the last 100 episodes of this podcast and how this thing started, is how can I do a little bit of a better job thinking about, how I plan my weeks and days, and maybe doing a little bit of goal setting. I don't know if I want to get into the whole nerdy SMART goal thing yet, but, thinking a little bit harder about these things long-term rather than just, what is it I want to focus on right now? Because I generally feel like I'm productive, but there is more I want to do. Still feel a little wanting, happy but hungry, as they say. So that's really the last 100 episodes. A little bit of reflection on that. I've loved it a lot, taking some breaks from it. But the big takeaway is I really like how it's given back to me something I admired most about myself and probably let go by the wayside because I thought things were supposed to be done a certain way and organized a certain way. And it's added back in a certain excitement, energy, and spontaneity back into my life, prioritizing on the thing that's right in front of me. And but now it's sort of been like, hey, as you kind of had your head down, grinding away, when I looked up, I didn't know if the North Star was still there or ever there. So I think that's what I took away from it, was what's a little longer term vision of where I want to go. And I've liked that. So I don't know if that resonates with you, but if you've had your head down, nose to the grindstone, peek up. We used to talk about this in open water swimming, when I was learning how to swim a little bit better, and every handful of strokes, you're going to turn your head up to the side to breathe and then do a quick glance out to the front to have some sort of landmark to see, am I still on track, or did I swim way over to one side because I pull harder with one arm or something like that? If you got your nose to the grindstone, maybe pick that up and, see if you're still headed toward your North Star, or if maybe you've forgotten where that is, what that is, or damn, maybe you just haven't even had one in a long time. Maybe you don't want one, but I definitely feel like for the first time in a while, I want one again. But I still think that's going to make me make a big long list. That's where my head's at. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you at 101. Wouldn't have gotten here without all you guys. Thank you.